Hey, we're back, and it's the 10th week of the fall 2025 Mirliton season here in West Mobile. Once again, not a lot has changed on the vine. Broken record there. Do still have that little pollinated Mirliton that's still going strong. Big news this week is that we had a freeze and frost come on early in the week. So I've got a couple of pictures, and we'll go check out the vine, see how it survived that, and see what protection I did to take care of that. But anyway, we'll go check and see how the vine's doing and see if anything drastically changed beyond that. Hey folks, it's the 10th week of the fall 2025 Mirliton season. And it's been mostly disappointment, as you can see. Damn squirrels are still at their trimming. The past week we had frost in this area. And covered up the plant. I put a few pictures in there of the vines, I should say, with just some plastic, some visqueen. No heater because it was only getting down to 29. And because if you've been following along, you know that most of what I've gotten is been on the verge of producing, and I should have been producing for the last month, but whatever reason, I've had extreme difficulties this year. But seems like that for the last 3 years. However, because I knew it was just going to be a short dip in temperatures, I wasn't ready to cut back the vine. Typically, if I had produced all I wanted to, I would cut it back about 2 inches and cover it. But theoretically, I've got about a month more growing to do. So, that being said, I covered it. And as you can see, it actually looks like it held up pretty well. We got down to 29 one morning for about 3 to 4 hours. Kept it on actually 3 days. And while I would have preferred to put cloth on top of it than plastic, I was not able to do it this time. Didn't have any extra shade cloth or frost cloth. But nonetheless, it still ended up doing pretty well. And a lot of people did that this time, so it worked out well for a lot of people. So anyway, I do have something that looks very promising that I've already seen, but I'll just do a quick once over again. This is the last week's video are back to back, so there's not a lot new here, as I've been saying. But anyway, let's see what I can find. Still showing some females coming on. This is nearest the tree, so it's decimated pretty much by the dang squirrels. I do have flowers, still male flowers. I really would have thought all these flowers we saw down around here, I would have had a whole slew of them Mirliton to be picking. But that's not the case. But I think down here, let's see how this one's doing. Got one that's pollinated. That's my only hope thus far, unless there's something hidden up here. I'll do a little digging. You can hear those damn squirrels in the bushes. Aggravating little bastards. Back end, we can still see that there's quite a bit of still a handful of flowers. Nothing too exciting, honestly. Freeze-wise, like I said, the plant seems to be holding up pretty good. And actually up underneath here, it's actually starting to thrive a lot more. Yeah, part of me thinks, well, if I just had a little bit more time, and I really need to get up on top of the ladder. I'll try to do that in a little bit. Anyway, I guess I've done nothing more than contribute to the oxygen production of the planet, at least with the Mirliton vine. I guess that's something. Anyway, it's very frustrating, as you can imagine, as you follow along and see. So, I don't know. I'm not going to give up on it yet, but once again, I feel like I had this same issue about 8 to 10 years ago when I had a pretty severe squirrel infestation. Like I said, other than getting more and more of those water sprinklers, don't quite know or reconfigure out things a bit. Got some live traps, but a live trap. But I don't suspect that's going to help much other than one or two here or there. If you live in a community that has people feeding the birds, that's probably a problem. I think the guy behind me does that. So it just makes it easier. I've got some sour lemons or some trifoliate oranges or lemons, whatever they're called, that somebody gave me from work. I'm hoping to put those around. Maybe those little suckers will chew on that and get puckered up. But anyway, right now, about the same. What I'll do this week, I think I actually might hit it with some more bloom boost. I don't know if it's going to hurt anything at this point. Obviously, I'm not going to have any for Thanksgiving. But I'm still holding out hope that get a little bit of a resurgence and get some for Christmas. But it has been a good 4 years since I've made a decent crop. So I don't know. It's really kind of frustrating. I'll probably explore, like Dr. Hill's talking about, putting some of the beneficial nematodes in the ground as well too. And maybe if the weather will hold out at least till January, at least I can have some for selling purposes from plants. Anyway, that's this week's. I don't think it's supposed to rain except maybe in a week from now. So maybe I'll hit it with a little bloom boost, and then just kind of keep that one on the bottom protected and do what I can do. I don't think we're supposed to have any freezes anytime soon too, so it's supposed to be 50s through 70s, maybe low 80s. So as you can see, the plastic covering that I put over did the job. I've got that huge canopy out here, so typically, even though when it says it gets like down to 29 degrees, I don't believe it gets quite that cold, because the canopy of that huge red oak seems to have protected it over the years. So it looks pretty unscathed from this particular case. Like I said, I didn't put any additional heat. Tried to drape down that visqueen as low to the ground as possible to capture all that ground heat that had been collected from the sun days prior. So it seemed to work out well this particular time. If I would have gotten down to 25 degrees for half a day, I would put a heater in there and put a lot more covering over it. I really wanted to put shade cloth, or cloth actually, over the top of the plants, then put the visqueen, then put the pool covers. But apparently we threw away all the old sheets. This particular case, with it only being cool for a couple hours and like 29 degrees for 3 or 4 hours, and that canopy over it, I was able to protect the main vines, and they came basically unscathed. In fact, I left it on an extra day because I would have preferred to take it off immediately after it got higher than 32 or 35 even on that second day, but turned out just really physically couldn't get out and do it because of work and other things. My wife and daughter did the following day, but it turned out it was good, because actually that third day, even though it didn't get quite as cold, it only got down to 40, did notice some frost on some of the roof lines around here. So it probably didn't hurt to leave it on an extra day, but typically if you're going to cover that plant, you're going to want to uncover it as soon as the temperatures are going to get back up to like the 50s to the 70s. So anyway, when we made it through that first frost, what I did this week, we gave it good watering right after, and saw there's not a whole lot of blooms. There's still a lot of buds coming out there, and there's just the one single Mirliton right now. What I decided to do is that, given the fact we've got maybe hopefully a month of growing left, I kind of bit the bullet and I said I'm gonna give it a dose of fertilizer. One plant I gave it the Miracle Grow vegetable fertilizer. It's supposed to be a good all-purpose. It's like 18, maybe 21, something like that. And I think that kind of just helps with overall plant health. That's the one closest to the tree. The other two, actually I gave it to that one and to the middle one. But to the one that's the older one, and I'm seeing some buds on it, I went ahead and said I'm gonna give it a little more heavy dose of the Bloom Boost. At this point, you know, if the way it hasn't really progressed in a month after the last dose, I figured I'll experiment and see. Hopefully it'll give it enough that flowers will come out, pan pollinate, and get a small crop. I mean, I remember last year talking about if I just get 10, if I just get 5, you know, if I get 1, I think that's what I got is 1. So just trying to improve my chances. Once again, part of the videos here are just kind of showing you what I'm experimenting with, what I've done over the years. Every year's not the same. Your ecosystem in your yard changes depending on your neighbor's trees and how your trees grow and such. So this week, so I uncovered it 2 days after, gave it a good dose of water right after the fact, hit it with a little bit of more fertilizer to try and give it a little bit more boost going into the last lap, so to speak, of the fall season. And we're just gonna, you know, proceed with the light off and keep my fingers crossed. I want to thank Ricky Constant, a friend of mine out here in Baldwin County. He grew some great Sylvestre Mirlitons and had a great success, and he gifted me with a handful of those to cook. Well, more than a handful, but gifted me with enough of them to cook, so I will have heirloom Mirliton for the table. But anyway, I just want to thank Ricky. I appreciate his help. He's doing a good job with his vines out there in Baldwin County. So, and if you look closely on mirliton.org, you know, I think we've had a mixed year. We've seen some big crops from folks, but then we haven't seen the robustness that I've noticed in the past. Some say maybe it has to do with the snows early this year. I don't know, but Dr. Hill just put out a great article this week on getting a head start for a spring crop. What he was talking about is, you know, if we plant them, overwinter them, you need like 110 days from the time they're in the ground till the time they're producing. So if we put them in the 3-gallon pot, let them overwinter and grow, and then plant them in early April or late March, then you have a pretty good chance of getting a small spring crop. And that's what we got to start thinking about, how to combat maybe with the earlier frost and even the earlier warming temperatures. Maybe it becomes more back to a spring crop for next, who knows. The main thing is you want to try to grow it and take advantage and get whatever you can. So anyway, check out mirliton.org, mirliton.org, the website and the Facebook page, and come join the conversation. Once again, please answer the qualifying questions, because we don't want a lot of spam. We don't want a lot of unnecessary posts. We're trying to create a group of community growers who are trying to see these heirlooms preserved and carried on. So please take time to answer those questions, and before you post or before you think about joining. That's the only way we're going to get better. Anyway, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section below or send them to me at rpcajun2r@gmail.com. I think also in December, keep your eyes open for Country Roads magazine around the South Louisiana area. There's supposed to be an article coming out on Mirliton, so you don't want to miss that. So please check that out. Check them out on the internet as well. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully this information has been helpful. If it has, please share it with all your Mirliton loving friends, and don't forget, like and subscribe to David J. Hubbell YouTube channel, and click that bell to be alert to all upcoming videos. I appreciate it, and I will see you next week.